What's up, everybody? Welcome to the late night live. Let me just say who's here real quick. Liz, Lisa, Patricia, Payne, Natalie. And we're good. Holistic. Hi. Yeah. Hey, Pink, Lori, Looney Tooney, Cosmo. Coco. I don't even know how to say this the right way because I'm not even going to try and bash Paul or Karine. Teresa, what's up, Zelda? You know, everyone see, hey, Amanda, how it's played out on social media, pretty much a lot worse on social media than on the show. Especially last year when, Karine had allegedly ran off with the baby across state lines. There were restraining orders placed. Paul couldn't find his kids. He was alone. I mean, it was like, bury all my children last summer. And I really stood by Paul's side because I felt bad for the guy. And he didn't really have any people in his corner. Have me and Paul had the best relationship throughout the years? No, but over the last 3 years we've been pretty good. And I'm not even going to try and ruin that now. I just had something to get off my chest because something happened today and it annoyed me. So let's start this and then I'll just get into it because I don't want to drag this out either. It's late. I'm tired.
Yes, he's fabulous, and he's on the inside scoop.
Ooh, look at that!
Okay, so as I said last year, everything was kind of going south with Paul and Karine. And I had never in a million years would have ever thought that Paul and Karine were ever going to get back together after that, after all that mess last summer. I didn't think it. I mean, I would talk to Paul every night on the phone. He'd be so upset for hours. And I genuinely felt bad for him. He had, he lost his whole family. And they got back together. Okay. After I think it was 2 or 3 months of craziness. And that puts us September, almost a year ago, around a year ago that they wound up getting back together. And then they seem to be happy. And Karine, that, she's over in Louisville with Paul. And now she's going to college and has blue hair. They're successful on the OnlyFans, where we've seen pretty much everything to the imagination. But still, people have been asking me, oh, why don't you post about Paul and Karine? And I'm like, after they got back together, after that craziness, I'm like, they're both their worst enemies, and if they both want to be miserable, then that's on them. But I tried to talk sense, and I even did that today with him, which we'll get to. But for me, at that point, towards Payne's alligator. Bad. I mean, for me at that point, once they got back together, because I don't even remember, it was a couple of months ago. I remember Paul had in his stories that, again, he was going to get an STD test, and then a few weeks ago, he posted in his story with the it wasn't like the pregnancy test, like the ovulation test, which kind of looked like either they were trying to get pregnant or planning to get pregnant. And I was like, then I was like, no. I mean, if anybody doesn't need any more children, it's you two. So, and then I haven't really said anything. So that brings us to today. Okay, so I get a message from someone, uh, you know, stating that Karine is stepping out on Paul for the umpteenth time. And then they had screenshots and to make it look like it was like credible, which I'm like, oh, okay. So that, and that they were interested in talking. So I messaged back and I was like, what's going on with this? So according to this person, I don't even know if I should say their name. This person that Karine has been seeing is some type of star effer. So this person that's been talking to Karine lives in Atlanta. And I mean, I've seen the messages from Karine saying, oh, I'm in school, can't stop thinking about you. And Karine just went to school. I mean, like a week ago. And according to this person, Karine has been allegedly meeting strange men in parks in Louisville. And has gotten allegedly STDs from meeting strange men in alleged parks in Louisville. Without Paul knowing. And I'm like, yikes. And Karine was very wanting to make this happen with this guy from Atlanta. Now, this guy from Atlanta, I was talking to him. And he was like, yeah, I haven't met her. I'm like, well, who messaged you first? And he said that he'd messaged her a while back ago, but then Karine recently messaged him back, and then they started talking. So, okay. And this guy has 2 kids, but he's keeping the dialogue going between the 2 of them. And I was like, well, why do you want to get involved with a married woman with 2 like small children who has Paul for a husband? I mean, that's just stepping into a whole lot of crazy, because we know Paul's background and everything, and their background, and and I saw this guy's Instagram. He's a good-looking guy. It didn't seem like he'd have many problems finding a girl. So he's like, well, I like Latinas. And I'm like, okay, but there are plenty of other Latinas that don't have all the baggage that Karine has. And then it started seeming sketchy to me. Even though he did show me screenshots of conversations he had with Karine, I'm like, what guy wants to mess around with a married woman with 2 kids and to have them meet in a park? I mean, what is this, like 1980 New York, Central Park, where gay guys had to meet in Central Park, under the bridge for a hookup? It just didn't seem right to me. And then I had messaged Paul, and I had said, listen, I'm talking, because Paul's my buddy. And I was like, listen, I'm talking to this guy who's saying that he's talking to your wife. Because I would want somebody to tell me if the shoe was on the other foot. And, you know, your wife allegedly wants to meet him in a park. So, you know, and I showed Paul what the guy was saying. I'm like, this is weird. But I did tell the guy, because I'm like, this is weird. But then he had told me that he also dated Molly from 90 Day Fiance. I'm like, huh? And Molly, that made more sense to me than the Karine, because Molly lives in Georgia, and that he had said that he had dated Molly right before she got with her new guy now, and that he did a horrible thing to her. I mean, this is so Paul and, you know, it's like only with Paul and Karine can you get enthralled with stuff like this, making my head spin. Yeah, Molly. So he dated Molly, and I guess he did something, you know, and I told him, like, you know, Molly has always been sweet to me, but I'm like, well, I'm like, if he really did date Molly and he dated Karine, I'm like, if you want to come up on my YouTube, I mean, that would be an interesting, and probably might get some asses in the seats, because you seem to have gotten around in the 90-day world. And then he also told me that he dated some other girl named Jess Chick. I don't know who that is, if it's a YouTuber or a TikToker or whatever. So it seems he has a reputation of going from reality TV person to reality TV person. And I'm like, but still, I thought it was interesting. So I told Paul, and then this guy had told me, he's like, well, I'm talking to Karine as we speak, and Karine doesn't want me to do it. And I said, okay, well, I said, the offer's there if you want it. You know, and then he's like, well, Karine doesn't really want me to do it. And now she's offering money not to go on your YouTube. And I showed that to Paul. I'm like, well, now Karine's offering, you know, and first of all, Karine's allegedly meeting men in parks, getting allegedly STDs, and now she's allegedly offering this guy money to not go live with me. And I thought Paul should know that. I mean, if Karine's doing all this other stuff, you know, what else? So I told Paul, I'm like, look, this is like getting really, really sketchy. And this is not like sitting right with me. And it's my own stupidity for actually going down this stupid hole, which I should never have. But I'm like, well, you know. And then when he said the stuff about Molly, I'm like, well, that's interesting. You know, Molly, you know, because Molly's respectable. Karine is not, nor Paul. So then I told the guy, I was like, listen, I'm like, because it was just my way of like being like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, well, take her money, go buy yourself a dinner, and have a good night. And that was it, because I didn't want to do it anymore, because nothing seemed right. So that was a few hours ago. Then I get like a message from him. Do you have it? That's what he said. I don't know if it's accurate. That's just what he told me. He did show me the messages between him and Karine. And then he did say that he did date Molly, but then he did something nasty to her, and she would never speak to him again. And I was like, well, I like Molly. She's always been nothing but sweet to me. So then, like, maybe like an hour ago, I get a message from him, And he's saying, Paul just showed me everything. So you go, so you're talking to Paul? Because Paul just showed me what you sent him. And I'm like, really? I was looking out for Paul because according to this guy, his wife's meeting men in parks. You know, while she's in college, she can't stop thinking about him, this, that, and the other. And I sent it to Paul because I'm like, you know, just so he could see with his two eyes what his wife is doing. Because again, I would want to see it if it were me. And this guy is like a nobody, you know. He said he'd already talking to other bloggers. And to me, it just seems like he wants attention. So, you know, and now this guy, this Casanova of the 90-Day World, is mad at me because I told Paul what he was up to with his wife, and then Paul went ahead and told him what he told me. And I'm like, you know what? Now I'm done. D to the O to the N to the E. I'm done. You know, Paul and Karine make Ike and Tina Turner look like they had the perfect marriage. I don't know how they're still married. I mean, I've heard things from Paul and seen things, and, you know, throughout the years. I mean, if Karine is really stepping out, meeting men in parks, I don't know why you'd want to be married to that. And I told that to Paul today. I'm like, Paul, I'm like, why are you still with her if this is what she's doing still to this day? Because I gave him the screenshot of the guy I was talking to. You know, and I told him, like, Paul, like, you're still young. You know, get out. And I told him this a million times, get out of the marriage, leave her before. I'm like, do you want to spend the next 40 years of your life dealing with this? So when, you know, you're 65 and Karine wants to go to McDonald's to get a senior coffee, is she going to be like blowing people in the bathroom stall? You know, that's the rest of your life that you have to look forward to. I would want that, especially with all these problems you've had since jump. I don't get it. And it's sick. I mean, he's like a good-looking guy. He's not over the hill. He can go find someone new who treats him better than that. Same goes with Karine. If you're this miserable in your marriage where Paul's clearly not doing it for you, leave. Maybe not leave like in the middle of the night like you did last time, allegedly, when you took the kids and you fled state lines and all that stuff. Leave. Go back to Brazil. Go somewhere else. And where you don't have to go behind your husband's back all the time. Problem solved. You know? Like, they both hate each other. I couldn't imagine. Like, if Cody was doing that and meeting guys in parks, oh, are you kidding me? You know, the whole time they've been together, oh, Karine has a sex addiction. You know, I mean, we've seen the OnlyFans stuff. She's into some dark shit. I mean, that's no lie. I mean, the strap-ons, all the stuff. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want my mom doing that on OnlyFans, but hey, to each their own. And probably making good coin off of it. but there's been a clear break in this relationship since they started. I mean, it's never been easy. It's always been an issue. It's whether it's the parents or the Amazon or mosquito nets or you know, oranges in the supermarket, or too much selection at Walmart, or restraining orders, fleeing state lines, meeting men in parks, affairs, cheating. When is enough enough? Like, when do you draw the damn line? Like, I want a divorce from Paul and Karine, which I'm doing right now because I can't take it anymore. I can't. I'm out. I don't care if Karine tomorrow is pregnant with triplets by Martians. I'm not going to post about it. I don't care if Paul shits rainbows that were given to him by magical unicorns in the forest. Not posting about it. I don't care. Leave me out of it. And to anybody who is involved in this mess, who's been talking to her or talking to him, don't message me. Because it's always the same thing. And I'm not even trying to be mean, but it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. And I'm not going to post any screenshots of what Paul told me. I'm not going to post any screenshots of what this guy told me. I'm just tired. And I could get, they're not on the show anymore. Paul and Karine have been on the show for years. And, maybe this is their way of getting attention. Well, it is their way of getting attention, but I can't be a part of it anymore. I can't. And, it's not like, it doesn't mean like I hate Paul. I think he needs to get the hell away from her. She needs to get the hell away from him. I have no idea if that's true. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think they'd be on the show anymore because of like the extent, the very dark stuff they've done on OnlyFans. I could be wrong, I don't know. But I don't think they'll be back on the show. I think the network's tired of them. But that's just my opinion. It's not fact. I don't know. Lord knows if I give my opinion, I'll get eaten up alive. And that's it. I mean, even today I told him over and over again, I'm like, get away from her. Get away from her. Stop, stop, stop. So this is, pick your battles. This is one battle I'm taking myself out of. And it's just like, on one end, you see like, Paul taking Karine to college and they're happy and she's learning English and they're at Walmart and happy in love. And then behind the scenes, she's talking to men, allegedly talking to men who, has secret rendezvous in, parks. But then the next day, same old happy self. It's too much. Oh, I'm not. I don't see. I don't think he's a victim. I don't think she's a victim. I think they're both equally culpable. And there were rumors of that kids are on Paul's. And I mean, I do feel bad. but I can't be a part of it anymore. So another blogger who wants a constant nightmare of this crap wants to take it on, good luck and Godspeed. I am done. You'll never see a post about Paul and Karine ever from me ever again. Unless they are legit divorced, living, and one's living here and the other one's living in Antarctica, where they're clearly a world away from each other. And I couldn't imagine having to live my life every day like that. So, and then like, you got Paul's mom, who I really feel bad for, who just sits there and has to watch it all go down. I'm sure Karine's parents are less than happy with the situation. Lord knows what they even know. I don't even know. I will say he's actually in bed. Hey, Becky. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I really don't want to harp on it because I just felt like maybe I was like kind of used today. Well, no, I 100% felt like I was used today. That's not that I kind of, yeah, that's why it was just all very weird. And didn't like it. I did text Molly with the guy's picture. I'm like, do you know this guy? Because he's saying he dated you. And that's why I didn't want to give up this guy's name, because if it is true, I don't want to give him more clout than he deserves. I do. And that's not because I only shower once a month, Nat. Yeah, it's just great. Ugh. So I wish them both well. And my only advice is to get as humanly possibly far away from each other, like to the most two distant points on the globe from one to the other. That's where you two need to be. I know I used to shower only once every other month, but the neighbors started complaining, so I had to bring it home a little bit. Oh God, I've got a joke. I don't know. I don't know. Roll the dice, I guess. So yeah, that's it. I'm done. Wash my hands of it. Good luck to you, Paul. Good luck to you, Karine. If you need to meet thousands of people in parks, you do you, Paul. If you just need to put on a happy face and watch her do thousands of men in parks, allegedly, you do you. I have enough problems. And that's it. So I'm going to hang up. Thanks for joining. And everybody have a great night.